Hi everyone, thanks for watching Access Hockey MI, and as always, welcome.
Hello.
We're going to Hello. Please, before I continue, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. We really appreciate all your support for us talking hockey, and today is no different. We're going to cover two prospects in the Detroit Red Wings pool that we have been watching this season and that we're very excited for. We were excited about one of them last season anyway, just because he was super great. But yeah, we have suspicions that he is probably on the radar of the Red Wings just because he's so fantastic.
Right.
And he just gets better and better every game. So the Griffins are not doing great. If you would just allow me to say.
So we were wrong, okay?
They're having a harder time kind of kicking themselves in the pants to get going, I guess, and getting that chemistry going and getting the...
They'll keep hurting themselves.
I would say it's definitely more of a roller coaster currently. It's still so early in the season, so we'll see how it goes. But with goaltending and injury and everything, so... that's basically a short update about the Griffins. But let's get into talking about one of the prospects, which would be Jonatan Berggren.
He was drafted in 2018, 33rd overall, so that's kind of old news if you watched him at all last season. Last season was his rookie season, and he was incredible. 64 points in 70 games played. Obviously, he's pretty good with the scoring thing. He's not too bad. Lots of overtime
and
winners.
The assist thing.
Yeah, he was fantastic last season. And I think a lot of people wanted him to get pulled up sooner, like at the end of that. They were like, call up Berggren. No, not yet.
No.
We need him, but he also needs a little more time. But he's really, after that season, obviously he came in with a strong rookie season. This season, he's already posted 7 points in 6 games, and that 6 games is because he was suffering a concussion earlier on in the season.
Or under concussion protocol, we should say.
He was feeling nauseous for consecutive days.
He got hit really bad.
Head, you know? so I just want to be on the safe side, I guess. Could have been the flu, we don't know.
Yeah.
But he's already an absolute stunner in the games. We watch every game even when they're not home, and he's just always on the ice. He's always working hard. He's always making plays or trying to. And he's just got this no-quit motor, which I think is something that's going to really highly recommend him to Detroit.
Yeah, and for me, I actually didn't realize he was so good last season. And I'm not even sure why, because he was scoring in almost every game. 64 points in 70 games is no joke, or at least he was contributing, I would say, in every game. He's on the power play unit, which is huge, and what the Red Wings would be looking for to need. The Red Wings power play is doing better.
Yeah.
So far this season, with the help of, Kubalik and, Larkin and even Perron and Suter. So all those guys doing their work to help the power play up in Detroit, but Berggren would be a great asset up there as well for the power play, and he is for sure a great asset on our power play, which hasn't been doing amazing. Again, it's still pretty early in the season, but even if the team is not in an upward trajectory right now, even if we're kind of plateaued right now, Berggren still finds a way to be a star on the ice, and I think something for me that I really appreciate about him is he plays with a lot of confidence, and he knows his game, he knows his position, he knows exactly what to do. He's very smart with the puck, he'll pass it if he needs to, but he's not afraid to take a shot either, and I think that's, like you said, something that's just going to highly recommend him to the Red Wings. And I think, so going forward, something that the Red Wings will be looking at in Berggren. We're not saying that he will be called up. We're just saying that he's making a really good push to be looked at by the Red Wings, as they have been calling up some Griffins based on their injury.
Yeah, there's already a lot of injuries at both levels. Like injuries, we came into the season knowing we're there, so some guys that are still recovering from preseason stuff, but other ones keep dropping like flies on both levels. So this actually presents a really good opportunity for the younger guys. We don't want guys at the top to get hurt and be sidelined, but it opens the door for them. And I think, along with the confidence, Berggren plays with a leadership mentality, I think, too, where he will take the lead on the ice. He's not the oldest, he's not the most experienced, but I think he plays with that almost like veteran type.
He does. He's just got that confidence, and I think a swagger to him when he's playing, and I think that's really encouraging to see. And he just continues to produce for the Griffins. And like we said for last season, even though he did that much production in the last season, it's not always just the production that you have to look at when getting called up. You also have to make sure that they are in the right headspace and they play with that maturity. And I think that in the second season, I think he's, I would say, not a different player than last year, but you can tell he has that maturity.
There was growth. It's very evident growth.
So the next one we want to talk about would be Albert Johansson, which is a first-year
He's a rookie.
I was just going to say first-year veteran. He's a rookie this season, and he is a defenseman. We got him in 2019, 60th overall, and I think he's one person that all fans were like, he's going to be a Red Wing right away, which I didn't see at the beginning. I think in camp he did okay. I wouldn't say he didn't, stun me. I don't think we mentioned him for, he's going to be looked at.
Yep.
But last season he was playing in Sweden. He had 25 points in 50 games played. This season so far, he doesn't have any points in 9 games, but Rachel and I have been noticing a huge shift in his game just in the last few games that we've been watching. So why don't you talk a little about that?
So in the first few games of the season, it was something where when he was out, it was kind of like a whisper. And granted, a lot of that has to do with how much ice time in the special team situations.
Yes.
That goes without saying. But with him, and from what we had seen in camp earlier this season back in September, even then we were like, really, he's good, but I don't really see what all the hype is about. And, reading stuff about people like, oh, call him up. We're like, no.
He makes good decisions sometimes, I thought when I saw him at camp, I was like, I think he needs some AHL time.
Right,
I
comparatively,
think
he's not where he needs to be.
Right.
Yeah, and just in the last, I would say, what would you think, 4 games or so, it's like a flip switched in his head, and he is much more physical. He's very tenacious. He is just grinding it out. And physically, that was one thing that I was a little leery about in camp.
Yeah.
He seemed almost like he just got knocked off the puck and he was beat easily. He's really thrown his body into it.
It could just be this is his first huge exposure to North American play and North American ice. So I just wonder if he needed just a few games to kind of get into it, which
now I know what to expect.
That's totally acceptable. It's not bad for that to be the case. It's just that we didn't know that was the case until now we're seeing what I think is a different, maybe more of himself.
Right.
Maybe. Maybe he was just unsure of okay, how do I do this?
Navigating.
This is all new.
Right.
And he's working, of course, alongside, Brian Lashoff as the vet. He has Stephen Kampfer as a vet up there. He, of course, has Simon Edvinsson on his on the team also, and just so many other guys who are there to help encourage. And Edvinsson, too, he's in the same boat of trying to learn how to do his play and learn how to be in this league and how to be in an elite league, too. So I'm very encouraged from what we've seen. If Johansson can improve just in a few games with being given, I think he's been given a ton more ice time based on injury, and he's been on special teams now too, which is huge. Seeing him
considering how highly penalized the games are lately.
I've seen him out on a 5-on-3 too, and I think that I think speaks volumes to the kind of trust that they're trying to put in him too. So I'm very encouraged from what we've seen so far. I do think I'm becoming a Johansson fan.
Yeah, and I think one thing that really stuck out to me, so they've been on a road trip for the last couple weeks here, but the last home game versus what we've been seeing on the road, he does a lot with his little stick movements. Yeah. He utilizes the blade a lot, his footwork a lot, but in camp he was able to kind of do that a little bit against the guys his age. And he got knocked off a little bit at the beginning of the season. Just in the last couple games, he's made these little tiny stick movements right at the net where it either almost goes in or he literally saves the play. And our goalies have needed help with that for sure.
Yeah.
So he was able just to take these tiny little movements and get it out. And those are the kind of things where over in Sweden, he had a lot more time to deal with that.
Yeah.
And I think now that, kind of what you said, he's coming into his own, he's understanding the time he has, and he's able to now bring that game back down to where it was.
I do think he's getting some one-on-one time, too, with defensive coaches, which is very important. Yeah. And I don't know how much of that he got in Sweden. I'm sure he got some. But I think that the coaching here is hey, this is what's needed, and this is how things are done here. We play a lot of very physical teams. The AHL is no joke. The AHL is a very elite league, and it's a great place for young players to get their moxie and get their drive, and for him to, like I said, like Rachel said too, in front of the net, he on power or on penalty kills, and even in just regular 5-on-5, we've seen him do. I think there was one penalty kill, he blocked 3 shots in a row
in the same leg.
Blocked 3 shots in a row. And block shots, I don't know how much of that they do in Sweden, but in North America and AHL, blocking shots is huge.
Yeah. And he stayed out there after all 3 of those shots. He did.
Well, the whistle afterward, but still, that reminds me a little bit of Joey Hicketts. How Joe Hicketts used to it didn't matter. His life was on the line to stop that puck, He
would put his firstborn.
And I just think that shows that tenacity. It shows that workhorseness of Johansson. Yeah. And I'm really encouraged with what I've seen so far. So I want him to stay on a good course.
And I will say, and this might be kind of I will say, versus Edvinsson's current adaptation, I would say Johansson is doing better. And they're around.
I think I like his play style
they're
more.
around the same age, and like Edvinsson is great. He's got his skills and his abilities, and actually I just recently wrote about that on the website, so go there, look at that. But with Johansson, I do feel like mentally he's business mode. He's like, this is my job, this is what I'm going to do, and he's not willing to relinquish that.
It could completely be a mental thing. It could just be like
It's a lot of what I see.
Just like Johansson is taking some time to get used to this play style, get used to the ice. It could be the same for Edvinsson too. We'll probably dive into that. I want to see more of him before this is just a little update, This is not like this is him for forever. But just for a quick for a developmental view on these two guys, Berggren and Johansson, I think they're both doing great. I think that Berggren will be probably one of the next ones looked at to be tried in the NHL. Right. But I also think that because he's doing so well, they might want him to still get as much ice time in the AHL as possible because that's what's important. So they know they want him. I think that this is me assuming. I assume they know they want him full time as a Red Wing. Right. Because he's been doing great, and I think he's got the Red Wing mentality. But I also think that they want him to be able to play as much as he can, and that he's going to do in the AHL. When guys are called up based on injury in the Red Wings, they don't play a ton. Yeah. They play fourth line. They play, like, intermittently.
They get maybe 6 minutes opposed to 22.
Yeah, I was going to say, they don't play a lot. But if Berggren can play a ton in the AHL, that's why sometimes, like, Sarnik was just called up from the Red Wings. I don't think he'll play a ton. He was scratched the night he got called up. So it's like, they want Berggren, and this is, again, assuming. I assume they want him to be where he's playing the most, which is what we said about Kosa, which is what makes sense in general. But just as a super quick note for injury, there's a lot of them. I feel like there's so many.
There is.
But now we know that the Capitals also have a lot of injury. So. Yeah. I mean, it's not just us. Sometimes I feel like it's just us.
It does feel like that, but it always seems like, I think because we see the AHL and NHL level, we're seeing both injury lists combined, and that's ridiculous. Yeah. Stop it. Like, just enough with the groin injuries, enough with taking shots to the face. Luff goes up there for one day, and he's going to come back looking like he got in a cage fight.
Yeah, right.
It's part of the game. But, it pushes these guys and our prospects too. It's kind of a blessing and a curse. It pushes these guys because they are getting more ice time now, more responsibility, and as long as they can approach it correctly, I think we'll be all right. And we're both teams in Detroit specifically. They've already started off better. They're looking better.
It's just great. That's a whole side note, but So far with the Griffins, they're kind of on a roller coaster right now with their season. They win one, lose one, win one, lose one. And so to get some consistency is going to be really important, but that's also consistency in, of course, our offense and our defense and our goaltending. Yep. It's a whole team thing. It's not one thing that's missing right now. It's like a whole, like when I don't know. It's like
there's a couple little sparks here and there. We're like, yes, that is what we need.
Some periods are like, this is it, and then the next period they come out and they're like,
that wasn't it.
And the next period they're like, meh. So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I'm not out there, so I feel bad sometimes, like saying so much about it, but like.
But they know too.
They do know.
They know. They feel it. So
yeah. So make sure, like Rachel said, to look at our website, www.accesshockeymi.com. That's where she does a lot of writing. You can see some of my pictures up there. So that's going to be the spot. If you don't see a video from us, you'll probably see an article. We do try to every week. It's a little harder in the hockey season because we kind of die on the inside and on the outside, and it's just very
jobs and stuff.
It's a little difficult.
Emotionally, it's a roller coaster.
Yeah, but we're gonna try and maintain our weekly videos. But yeah, let us know in the comments what you think about Berggren and Johansson, if you've seen them so far, or what you thought of them when they were drafted, or how they've been progressing. And let us know in the comments what you think about the Red Wings and the Griffins so far this season, and who maybe are some standout players to you. And as always,
probably.
Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.